In today's video, I am going to be breaking down some pretty interesting, maybe crazy zone defenses that you can run, and even matchup zone defenses that you can run for 5-on-5 flag football. Let's get down. Let's check these out. These might seem crazy, but they tend to work pretty good. So this first one, we're going to start with what is called a triangle and 2. Now, you can also do different styles of this too, but generally speaking, we would have player 2, he would be guarding the receiver over on this side. Player 3 would be guarding a receiver on the right side, generally the one that is farthest out away from the group. So for example, if they were using this formation, player 3 would be guarding player 3 blue. And then at this time, we would have player 1 drop back just a bit and fill in a zone at the back. Player 4 would then fill in a zone out towards that right side, and player 5 would then fill in a zone on that left side. The idea here is to allow player 2 and 3 to guard the first and second options, or at least the better receivers on the other team, while these 3 players are going to be guarding a zone so that they can at least have greater coverage area if needed. Now, I've heard this one be called a Y zone because it makes the Y formation right there. However, I would personally call this a 2-1-1. That's just maybe my basketball self, but that is what I would call this. This player out here is going to be guarding the best receiver, or the number 1 option, or at least the player that tends to get passed to the most. He is going to be guarding him. This player may be on this side, maybe guarding him instead. It just depends on who the other team's best receiver, or at least most pass to receiver, really is. We're then going to have player 5 and player 4 split, and they are going to be covering the sidelines. Player 3 is going to be covering the middle, and player 1 is going to be covering the back, depending on where he sees that ball potentially being thrown. This is an interesting zone. It's a very rarely used zone that I've seen. However, it is a very interesting zone and can work really well. Now, the 2-man zone is kind of interesting. I've heard of this. I've never seen it being used. However, you would have 3 players who are matched up with receivers, and then you would have these 2 players who generally cover a zone. They could be covering a zone in that direction. They could be split and covering side by side. It really depends on the team and what you think you're going to see. And then there is my basketball self, and believe me, this zone actually kind of works oddly weird, and it's in football, it works great in basketball. The whole idea is to try and force the other team to shoot threes. However, in football, you can have these 2 split, and they're going to be covering the short corners, the short wings. We're then going to have player 2 cover the middle, and then we're going to have player 1 and 3 cover the back. This is going to give you the greatest coverage area. However, you will have a lot of holes, for example, right here, that could be exploited, or short passes in front of player 2. I hope that these zones help your team win more games. If they do, hit that like button and subscribe. And if your players want to be able to jump higher and potentially run faster, make sure to go check out my vertical jump training book that is down in the description below. I'll see you guys again in my next video.